In a world driven by fleeting desires and shallow connections, choosing the right partner is one of the most critical decisions a person can make. The wrong relationship does not just waste time, it drains energy, clouds judgment, and distracts from personal growth. A Stoic does not allow emotions or external pressures to dictate choices. Instead, decisions are made with reason, discipline, and clarity. Emotional stability is the foundation of a strong relationship, and without it, chaos replaces peace. A Stoic understands that emotions are natural, but they should never dictate actions. When choosing a partner, one of the most important qualities to look for is emotional balance. A woman who is ruled by her emotions, constantly shifting between extremes, will bring instability into the relationship. Love, no matter how strong, cannot survive in an environment where peace is constantly disrupted by unchecked emotions. A relationship should be a place of refuge, a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. But when one person is unpredictable, driven by impulsive feelings rather than reason, that sanctuary is shattered. There will be moments of joy, but they will be followed by moments of turmoil. Highs will be exhilarating, but the lows will be unbearable. A woman who is emotionally unstable may not even realize the harm she causes. She may see her emotional outbursts as passion, her unpredictable moods as part of who she is, and her dramatic reactions as expressions of love. But in reality, these behaviors are signs of a lack of control over the self, which ultimately leads to suffering for both partners. A Stoic does not allow himself to be controlled by external events, nor should he allow himself to be controlled by the unpredictable emotions of another. Emotional instability creates a relationship where one person must always walk on eggshells, constantly anticipating the next crisis. This is not love, this is survival. A relationship like this drains energy, clouds judgment, and distracts from the pursuit of wisdom and inner peace. True love should provide stability, not take it away. A woman who is emotionally unstable may exhibit patterns of extreme reactions to minor situations. A small disagreement turns into a crisis. A slight inconvenience feels like a personal attack. She may create problems where there are none, interpreting neutral situations as betrayals or offenses. Her emotions dictate the reality of the relationship, making logical discussions impossible. When emotions rule, reason is absent. A Stoic cannot thrive in such an environment because his philosophy is built on self-control, clarity, and balance. This does not mean that a woman should be emotionless. Emotions are not the enemy, being controlled by them is. There is a difference between feeling deeply and losing control over those feelings. A healthy partner can express her emotions without being consumed by them. She can communicate frustration without resorting to anger, share sadness without falling into despair, and discuss concerns without creating unnecessary conflict. A relationship with such a person fosters growth and stability because both partners can navigate challenges with wisdom and understanding. Many make the mistake of mistaking emotional instability for passion. They believe that dramatic fights and intense emotions are signs of deep love. They associate unpredictability with excitement. But drama is not love, it is a distraction from deeper issues. A relationship built on emotional volatility may feel intense in the beginning, but over time it becomes exhausting. Constant ups and downs prevent true intimacy from developing because there is no foundation of trust and consistency. A Stoic does not seek temporary excitement, he seeks lasting peace and meaningful connection. A woman who lacks emotional stability is often at war with herself. Her emotions control her instead of the way around. She may not be intentionally destructive, but she does not yet have the tools to manage her own feelings in a way that fosters a healthy relationship. The reality is that no one can fix her. Only she can do the work to develop inner balance. A Stoic understands that trying to change another person is a futile pursuit. One cannot teach stability to someone who has not yet chosen to cultivate it for herself. A wise person does not ignore red flags. He does not enter relationships hoping that love will be enough to fix fundamental problems. Love is important, but it is not a replacement for emotional maturity. If a woman cannot regulate her emotions, if she allows them to dictate her actions, and if she creates unnecessary chaos, she is not ready for a healthy relationship. A Stoic does not engage in relationships based on potential. He engages based on reality. The goal is not to avoid emotions, but to seek balance. A relationship should be a partnership where both individuals bring stability, strength, and understanding. A wise man values peace over passion when passion comes at the cost of tranquility. If a woman lacks control over herself, she cannot contribute to a relationship that is built on wisdom, patience, and harmony. The Stoic path is one of reason, and in choosing a partner one must always choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and stability over unpredictability. Self-respect is the foundation of a strong individual, and a relationship should be built on two people who respect themselves first, before seeking validation from each other. A woman who lacks self-respect will constantly seek approval from others, chasing external validation to fill an internal void. This type of woman measures her worth based on how others perceive her, rather than developing her own sense of confidence. To a Stoic, this is a dangerous quality in a partner because it means she is not yet in control of herself. If her self-worth is dictated by external opinions, then her emotions, actions, and choices will always be influenced by forces outside of her control. A Stoic man does not attach himself to someone who has not yet learned to stand firmly on her own. A woman who lacks self-respect often requires constant attention to feel valued. She may seek validation through social media, excessive compliments, or the approval of others, rather than cultivating a deep sense of self-worth. This creates an imbalance in the relationship because, rather than focusing on mutual growth, the dynamic shifts toward one person constantly providing reassurance to the other. A relationship should not be a place where one person is tasked with holding up the other's self-esteem. A woman who truly values herself does not need constant reminders of her worth. She already knows it. This lack of self-respect manifests in different ways. Some women attach their identity to their appearance, believing their beauty is the only thing that makes them valuable. They spend more time curating an image for others than developing their mind, character, or skills. When a person's self-worth is built on something as fleeting as physical appearance, they will always feel insecure, constantly needing validation from others to feel good about themselves. A Stoic does not seek a partner who is obsessed with external appearances, but one who prioritizes inner strength and character over superficial qualities. Another sign of lacking self-respect is when a woman compromises her values to gain approval. She may change her personality, beliefs, or actions to fit in with a particular group or to be accepted by a man. This reveals a deeper problem. She does not have a solid foundation within herself. A person who does not respect herself will not set clear boundaries, and without boundaries she will allow disrespect from others. She may tolerate toxic behavior, stay in unhealthy relationships, or lower her standards just to feel wanted. This is not strength, it is weakness disguised as devotion. A Stoic values a woman who stands firm in her principles, who does not change herself for the sake of others, and who holds herself to a high standard of dignity. There is also the issue of emotional dependency. A woman who lacks self-respect often depends on her partner to provide a sense of purpose and happiness. She seeks constant validation because she has not yet learned to validate herself. This creates an exhausting cycle where the relationship is no longer about mutual connection, but about one person constantly filling the void in another. A Stoic understands that a relationship should be two whole individuals coming together, not one person trying to complete the other. A woman who respects herself does not need a relationship to feel worthy. She chooses one that aligns with her values and goals. A Stoic also recognizes that a woman who lacks self-respect often allows others to dictate her emotions. She reacts strongly to criticism, becomes anxious over others' opinions, and changes her behavior based on how she is perceived. This is a sign of someone who is not yet in control of herself. A person who is easily swayed by external forces is unreliable, both to herself and to her partner. A Stoic seeks stability, And a woman who lacks self-respect will struggle to provide that stability because her emotions are dictated by how others treat her. A woman who has true self-respect is not arrogant or overly confident. She simply knows her worth and does not seek validation from others to prove it. She does not compromise her values for approval. She does not allow herself to be treated poorly, and she does not need a relationship to feel complete. She understands that her strength comes from within, not from the opinions or attention of those around her. A relationship with a woman who lacks self-respect will always be unstable because she does not yet have a strong foundation within herself. She may seem happy when receiving validation, but when that external approval fades, she will struggle with insecurity and doubt. A Stoic does not involve himself in relationships where his partner's sense of self is built on fragile foundations. Instead, he seeks a partner who has already cultivated her own inner strength and self-worth. A woman who respects herself does not chase attention. She commands respect. She does not seek approval. She stands firm in who she is. She does not rely on a relationship to feel valued. She knows her value whether she is single or not. This is the type of partner that aligns with the Stoic path, one who is stable, self-sufficient, and unshaken by the ever-changing opinions of others. A Stoic chooses a partner who is already strong, not one who needs validation to feel whole. Integrity is the foundation of trust in any relationship, and without it, everything else collapses. A Stoic values honesty and virtue above all else because these qualities create stability, clarity, and peace. A woman who lacks integrity, who is deceptive, manipulative, or dishonest, will create a relationship built on illusions rather than truth. A person who does not act with honesty cannot be relied upon, and a relationship without reliability is destined to be filled with doubt, anxiety, and betrayal. A Stoic does not allow himself to be consumed by such uncertainty. He seeks a partner who values truth, not one who bends reality to suit her desires. Deception can take many forms. Some women lie outright, distorting facts to escape accountability or to manipulate outcomes. Others are more subtle, using half-truths, omissions, or emotional games to control situations. They may twist narratives to appear as victims, shift blame onto others, or use dishonesty as a means of gaining attention. These behaviors may seem harmless at first, even justifiable in certain situations, but they erode the foundation of a healthy partnership. A Stoic does not tolerate such behavior because he knows that a person who is willing to deceive once is willing to deceive again. Manipulation is another form of dishonesty. Some women use guilt, silent treatment, or passive-aggressive behavior to control their partners. Rather than communicating openly, they may create artificial crises to test loyalty, demand constant proof of love through unnecessary tests, or emotionally punish their partners for imagined offenses. This is not love. This is control wrapped in the disguise of affection. A Stoic man does not entertain such games because his mind is governed by reason, not by emotional coercion. A woman who manipulates does not seek a true partnership. She seeks control over another's emotions. A woman lacking integrity may also display a pattern of broken commitments. She says one thing and does another. She makes promises she does not intend to keep. She changes her story depending on who is listening. These inconsistencies reveal a deeper issue. She does not value truth as a guiding principle in her life. This makes her unreliable both as a partner and as a person. A relationship requires consistency, and without it there is no foundation upon which to build something meaningful. A Stoic does not waste time with someone who lacks reliability because he understands that wasted time is wasted life. A person without integrity is also often disloyal. Loyalty is not just about remaining faithful in a relationship. It is about standing by one's word, being trustworthy, and acting with honor even when no one is watching. A woman who speaks ill of her friends behind their backs, who shifts alliances based on convenience, or who betrays confidences cannot be trusted to uphold loyalty in a relationship. If she lacks integrity in small matters, she will lack it in great ones as well. A Stoic understands that character is not revealed in moments of ease, but in moments of challenge. A woman who turns against those she once cared for, who speaks one way in public but acts another in private, is not someone who embodies strength of character. Some women justify their lack of integrity by claiming that the world is unfair, that dishonesty is necessary for survival, or that manipulation is just a means to an end. But a Stoic knows that character is not shaped by external circumstances. It is revealed through them. A woman who believes that lying, cheating, or manipulating are necessary tools for getting ahead in life does not truly understand strength. Strength is built on self-discipline, honesty, and virtue, not on deception. A Stoic does not surround himself with those who justify their weaknesses as strategies. He seeks a partner who holds herself to the same high standards that he holds himself to. Integrity is not just about how a person treats others, it is about how they treat themselves. A woman who lacks integrity is often in conflict with herself. She may say she values honesty but lie when it is convenient. She may claim to seek peace but create unnecessary drama. She may talk about self-respect while compromising her values for attention. A person whose actions do not align with their words is at war with themselves, and a relationship with such a person will always be unstable. A Stoic seeks inner peace, and that peace cannot exist alongside constant contradiction. A relationship built on integrity is one where both partners can rely on each other without doubt. There is no fear of betrayal, no second-guessing of words, no hidden agendas. There is only truth, consistency, and trust. A Stoic does not seek a perfect partner, he seeks an honest one. He understands that mistakes happen, but he also knows that a person of integrity takes responsibility for their actions rather than making excuses. A woman who embodies honesty will not always be perfect, but she will always be accountable, and that is what matters. A man who values peace does not invite chaos into his life. He does not choose a partner who speaks in half-truths, who bends reality to fit her desires, or who manipulates emotions for control. He seeks someone whose character is unwavering, whose word is as strong as her actions, and who understands that honesty is the highest form of respect. A woman who lacks integrity is not only a poor partner, she is a source of endless instability. A Stoic does not engage in relationships where he must constantly question what is real and what is deception. He seeks clarity, wisdom, and peace, and he chooses his partner accordingly. A relationship should be a source of mutual growth, support, and balance. However, when a woman is consumed by materialism, the foundation of the relationship becomes fragile. A Stoic understands that true happiness and fulfillment do not come from external possessions but from inner virtue, discipline, and wisdom. A woman who prioritizes material wealth over character, who is obsessed with status, luxury, and financial gain at the expense of deeper values, will never find lasting satisfaction. She will constantly chase more, believing that happiness is just one more purchase away, one more luxury item, or one more status symbol. But this is a never-ending cycle of emptiness. Materialism is dangerous, not just because it creates a false sense of fulfillment, but because it shifts the focus of a relationship away from what truly matters. A materialistic woman sees love as transactional. She values what a man can provide more than who he is. She judges success not by the depth of one's character, but by the weight of one's wallet. In a relationship with such a person, genuine connection takes a backseat to financial expectations. It is no longer about building a meaningful life together. It becomes about maintaining an illusion of wealth and status. A Stoic does not waste his energy on someone whose happiness is dictated by material possessions, for he knows that wealth is temporary, but wisdom is eternal. A woman obsessed with material wealth will often have unrealistic expectations. She demands a lifestyle that is not grounded in necessity, but in excess. She measures love in expensive gifts, in lavish vacations, in grand gestures that are meant to be shown off rather than genuinely appreciated. She is more concerned with how her life appears to others than how it actually feels. This creates an imbalance because the focus of the relationship shifts from building something meaningful to keeping up appearances. A Stoic does not entertain such illusions, for he understands that true value lies in what cannot be bought. character, loyalty, wisdom, and peace. A materialistic woman also struggles with contentment. No matter how much she has, she always wants more. Her happiness is conditional. It is tied to what she can acquire, rather than who she is. If wealth is abundant, she feels fulfilled. But if there is financial struggle, she becomes restless, dissatisfied, or even resentful. This creates instability because a relationship should be built on resilience, adaptability, and mutual support, not on a fragile dependence on external wealth. A Stoic does not seek a partner whose happiness is dictated by circumstances beyond her control. He seeks someone who can find joy in simplicity, who values the small moments just as much as the grand ones. Materialism also breeds entitlement. A woman who is obsessed with wealth often believes she deserves luxury without effort, status without contribution, and comfort without sacrifice. She expects to be taken care of, not because of what she brings to the relationship, but because she feels she is owed it. This sense of entitlement destroys gratitude. Rather than appreciating what she has, she constantly focuses on what she lacks. A Stoic does not align himself with someone who takes without giving, who demands without gratitude, and who sees a relationship as an opportunity for personal gain rather than shared growth. A materialistic mindset also creates shallow values. A woman obsessed with wealth and luxury may lack depth in other areas of life. She may not invest in wisdom, personal growth, or emotional intelligence. She may not value intellectual conversations, meaningful experiences, or spiritual growth. Instead, she is consumed by trends, social status, and the opinions of others. A Stoic does not engage with someone who prioritizes the external world over the internal one. He understands that true fulfillment comes from the mind and soul, not from possessions. A relationship with a materialistic woman is one of constant pressure. Pressure to earn more, to provide more, to meet never-ending expectations. It is a relationship built on performance, not partnership. If financial struggles arise, her loyalty may waver. If material comfort is threatened, her love may diminish. A Stoic does not attach himself to someone whose affections are conditional, whose values are dictated by financial stability rather than emotional depth. A woman who truly understands love does not measure it in dollars, but in devotion, respect, and shared purpose. A woman who is free from material obsession is content in all circumstances. She does not seek wealth to define her worth, nor does she measure a relationship by financial gain. She understands that true happiness is found in simplicity, in the strength of character, and in the depth of connection. She values financial stability, but she does not worship it. She appreciates comfort, but she does not depend on it for happiness. This is the kind of woman who can walk alongside a Stoic, for she is guided by reason, balance, and gratitude. A wise man does not waste his time with a woman whose values are dictated by materialism. He does not entertain a relationship where he is valued for what he provides, rather than who he is. A Stoic seeks a partner who is grounded, who understands that wealth is fleeting, but virtue is lasting. He does not allow himself to be trapped in a cycle of endless expectations, nor does he entertain the idea that happiness can be bought. Instead, he chooses a woman who embodies contentment, wisdom, and true appreciation for life beyond material possessions. Emotional stability is the foundation of a strong and peaceful relationship. A Stoic values inner tranquility, rationality, and self-control, understanding that emotions, when left unchecked, can become destructive forces. A woman who lacks emotional stability will bring chaos into a relationship, making every moment uncertain and unpredictable. She is driven by impulse rather than reason, reacting to situations with intense emotions rather than thoughtful reflection. For a Stoic, this kind of instability is not just a personal struggle, it is an active disruption of the peace he has cultivated in his life. He does not allow himself to be drawn into emotional storms that are based on fleeting feelings rather than rational thought. A woman who lacks emotional stability may be prone to extreme mood swings. One moment she may be affectionate, praising her partner, making him feel valued. The next moment she may be distant, angry, or irrationally upset over minor issues. These emotional shifts create an environment where there is no consistency, no security, and no predictability. A Stoic does not live in a state of uncertainty. He builds his life around order, discipline, and peace, and he will not allow himself to be entangled in emotional volatility. Such a woman often reacts impulsively, saying things she does not mean in the heat of the moment, making decisions based on anger, jealousy, or insecurity. When emotions are left unchecked, they lead to drama, unnecessary conflicts, and tension. Instead of discussing issues calmly and rationally, she may resort to shouting, silent treatment, or manipulative behavior. This kind of emotional instability drains energy and focus, turning the relationship into a battlefield instead of a place of support. A Stoic understands that a true partnership should bring peace, not constant emotional turmoil. Another sign of emotional instability is an inability to take responsibility for one's feelings. A woman who lacks control over her emotions often blames external circumstances or people for how she feels. If she is upset, it is because someone made her upset. If she is angry, it is because someone provoked her. She does not recognize that her emotions are her own responsibility. This creates a toxic cycle where she refuses to work on self-improvement, instead expecting the world to accommodate her emotional outbursts. A Stoic does not take responsibility for someone else's lack of self-control. He expects a partner who is willing to reflect, grow, and manage her own emotions rather than projecting them onto others. Jealousy and insecurity are also strong indicators of emotional instability. A woman who constantly questions her partner's loyalty, who demands reassurance at every turn, who overanalyzes innocent interactions, is a woman who has not yet mastered herself. She allows fear to dictate her actions rather than trusting in the strength of the relationship. Instead of cultivating self-confidence, she looks for external validation to soothe her insecurities. A Stoic does not entertain unnecessary jealousy because it is an emotion rooted in weakness and lack of self-trust. A strong woman does not need to be reassured constantly. She knows her worth, and she trusts her partner. A woman who lacks emotional stability often brings past wounds into the present. Instead of healing from previous relationships, betrayals, or disappointments, she carries those burdens forward. She may compare her current partner to past ones, assuming history will repeat itself. She may punish her new relationship for the mistakes of someone else. She allows old pain to shape her present reality. A Stoic does not align himself with someone who refuses to let go of the past and embrace the present with clarity and reason. He seeks a partner who has faced her struggles, learned from them, and emerged stronger, not someone who is trapped in cycles of old pain. Manipulative tendencies often accompany emotional instability. A woman who cannot regulate her emotions may use guilt, emotional blackmail, or outbursts to control situations. She might threaten to leave to gain attention, create unnecessary drama to test her partner's loyalty, or play the victim to avoid responsibility. These behaviors are exhausting and create a relationship dynamic based on fear and emotional exhaustion rather than love and mutual respect. A Stoic does not engage in manipulation, nor does he allow himself to be controlled by the emotional instability of another. He sets firm boundaries and walks away from situations where his peace is threatened. A truly strong woman, one worthy of a Stoic, understands that emotional control is power. She does not let her emotions dictate her actions. She takes responsibility for how she feels, managing her emotions with wisdom rather than impulse. She does not bring unnecessary drama into the relationship. Instead, she fosters peace and understanding. She is aware that difficulties arise, but instead of reacting chaotically, she approaches problems with rationality and calmness. This is the kind of woman who can stand beside a Stoic, one who embodies self-discipline, emotional intelligence, and inner peace. A relationship should not be a storm that must constantly be weathered. It should be a place of refuge. A Stoic does not choose a woman whose emotions rule her life, who creates unnecessary conflict, or who lacks self-awareness. He seeks a partner who has control over her mind and heart, who brings harmony instead of chaos, and who understands that true strength comes from mastering oneself. Respect is the foundation of any healthy and enduring relationship. Without it, everything else, love, trust, commitment, eventually collapses. A Stoic understands that respect is not just about how someone treats you in public, but how they treat you in private, how they speak about you when you are not around, and how they handle disagreements. A woman who lacks respect will slowly erode the strength of a relationship, creating an environment of tension, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. A Stoic does not allow himself to be in a relationship where he is belittled, dismissed, or undervalued. He understands that a partner who does not respect him is not truly a partner, but an adversary in disguise. Disrespect can manifest in many ways. A woman who constantly criticizes, mocks, or speaks down to her partner is revealing a deep lack of appreciation. She may disguise this as humor, making sarcastic remarks or jokes at his expense, but true respect does not need to be masked with cruelty. When a woman frequently questions a man's intelligence, decisions, or abilities, she is not engaging in constructive discussion. She is undermining him. A Stoic does not entertain such behavior because he values his dignity and self-respect above all else. He does not tolerate being spoken to as if he is lesser, nor does he accept a relationship where his worth is constantly in question. A disrespectful woman also disregards boundaries. She does not honor personal space, emotional needs, or privacy. She may invade his time, demanding constant attention without considering his responsibilities or need for solitude. She may cross lines in arguments, bringing up sensitive topics to hurt rather than resolve. A Stoic sets firm boundaries and expects them to be respected. He does not allow himself to be in a relationship where his emotional well-being is disregarded for the sake of someone else's demands. A woman who cannot honor a man's limits does not truly respect him, and without respect there can be no balance. Public humiliation is another form of disrespect. A woman who argues in front of others, who openly criticizes her partner in social settings, or who seeks to embarrass him for the sake of making a point, is not someone who values his dignity. A relationship should be a place of mutual support, where both partners protect each other's reputation and honor. A Stoic understands that a partner who does not stand by him in public will not stand by him in private either. He does not accept a relationship where he must constantly defend himself from the very person who should be his strongest ally. A woman who lacks respect also disregards a man's time and efforts. She may take his contributions for granted, expecting more while showing little appreciation. She may demand that he provides, supports, and sacrifices while offering little in return. She sees his presence as something owed rather than earned. A Stoic does not waste time in relationships where he is not valued. He understands that love without respect is merely obligation disguised as affection. A partner who does not appreciate effort will never be satisfied, no matter how much is given. Disrespect is also evident in how a woman speaks about her partner when he is not around. A woman who complains about her relationship to friends, who shares private conflicts with outsiders, or who undermines her partner's image in social settings, is not someone who values loyalty. A Stoic knows that words have power, and a woman who speaks poorly of him when he is not present will never truly support him when he is. He does not allow himself to be in a relationship where his character is constantly questioned, where his partner seeks validation from others by diminishing him. He expects loyalty not just in presence, but in absence. Another form of disrespect is a refusal to listen or consider a partner's perspective. A woman who is always right, who dismisses opposing opinions, and who refuses to engage in thoughtful discussion, is not someone who respects the mind of her partner. She does not seek to understand, she seeks to dominate. She values control over compromise, and in doing so, she creates a relationship based on power struggles rather than mutual understanding. A Stoic does not argue for the sake of winning. He seeks truth, wisdom, and resolution. He does not waste his time with someone who listens only to reply rather than to understand. A respectful woman understands that love and admiration go hand in hand. She does not seek to control but to support. She does not belittle but uplifts. She does not take for granted but appreciates. She values her partner's strengths and does not exploit his weaknesses. She communicates disagreements without hostility, without manipulation, and without seeking to wound. This is the kind of woman a Stoic aligns himself with, for she embodies the principles of wisdom, restraint, and understanding. A Stoic knows that a relationship without respect is a relationship destined to fail. He does not stay where he is not valued, nor does he tolerate a partner who diminishes him. He seeks someone who understands that love is more than emotion. It is honor, trust, and unwavering mutual respect. A woman who lacks these qualities will never be a source of peace, only a source of conflict. And a Stoic values his peace above all else.